are devised by the political process in Bangladesh. We don't want to be the development partner that comes from the outside and says, we have an idea, we think you should do this. We want to look at what Bangladesh is thinking would be the right development path for Bangladesh, and then we can contribute to that strategy. So we try to work very closely with government. It's also about capacity building. If projects are done only with NGOs and outside of government, then the necessary capacity is never built inside government to work with these things.
Absolutely.
So this is a philosophy of ours.
Absolutely. Another question is, Ambassador, this is, we feel, being a great friend of Bangladesh, one question comes to my mind, is something you have seen Bangladesh very closely.
Yes.
And you said a lot good about Bangladesh. So do you have any suggestion, like which other area may develop more, or, you know?
It's something, you know, that we really think the Bangladeshis themselves must formulate how to take this country forward. Once that is formulated, then we can contribute. But like all the Bangladeshis, I see some of the hurdles here which need to be tackled. There are issues with, for instance, corruption many places, which is spurring away foreign investment. There's also issues like the very confrontational nature of politics.
Absolutely.
We're seeing that just in these days, that it very quickly gets very violent, that you'll see burning cars in the street. And I have to tell you, that's very detrimental to the foreigners' interest in Bangladesh. Imagine, now you and I, we know what everyday life is like in Dhaka,
Absolutely.
even during a hartal and when there are burning cars in the street and so forth. But you have to imagine that when you read a newspaper in Denmark and you learn about this, you see maybe 1 or 2 pictures of people with sticks and a burning car, and that's the impression you get of Bangladesh. So this is scaring away investors, it's scaring away tourists, and I really, really hope, but I share that with all Bangladeshis, I really, really hope that there will be a path to much less confrontational politics and much more cooperative politics.
I'm sure, Ambassador, with your this very positive comment, I must say that our policymakers, they'll very much take care of it, because policymakers are the main, you know, determiners who will decide how to run this country. Thank you so much. Viewers, let's take a short break. Coming back soon. Thank you. Viewers, again welcome you the program called Diplomats. I was talking about many issues, culture, tourism, or trade, and many cooperation, development, many cooperation talk about. So well, Ambassador, you've been talking about many issues. Now another issues, like, do you have any message for the people of Bangladesh?
Well, I have to think about that, but I do believe that Bangladesh is on a good path on long term. If we look at historically at how Bangladesh has progressed, I think this is amazing progress. If you look at the situation of this country in 1971, it was hopeless. The country has been devastated, lives have been lost in terrible amounts, and really independence took Bangladesh by surprise. This wasn't anything
Absolutely.
that had been planned for a long time. There was no money, there was no structure, there was no buildings. It was really a tough time. And then, as we know, natural disaster and famine struck the country. So it's a very, very difficult period. But if you take that that was a recipe for a failed state. You would have said at that time, that cannot be done. This is impossible. With this large population and these few means, it was terrible. But here we are, 40 years later. And look at Bangladesh today. Very high growth, even during a global turndown. High growth, and Bangladesh being a democracy, not a perfect democracy, but a democracy that is a player for the good on the world stage. Bangladesh is an active and constructive player on climate policies in the United Nations, on trade policy, on peacekeeping. In fact, the largest contributor in the world to UN peacekeeping. So a very constructive player on the world stage. This is quite an achievement in just a period of 40 years. And let us remember that in this, as we speak, you and I right now, the human development progress in Bangladesh, I think, as you and I, we sometimes despair about the political situation and confrontation and all the negative stories about Bangladesh. Let's keep that in mind and let's stay very firm on the fact
Thank you so much.
Bangladesh has a bright future.
Thank you so much. Well, Ambassador, thank you so much for this positive comment. And another question is, in Bangladesh, so we have about 65% people, they're young people, they're below 45.
Yes.
So these young people are really, really active people, and they can do huge change.
Yes.
So if you have any message for the people, I mean young people of Bangladesh?
Yes, because every time I meet young people in Bangladesh, they make me happy. They're ambitious, they're hardworking, they have ideas. These are the people who will take the country forward. And if I have to point to anything that makes me optimistic about this country and the future, it's the young people. Also, because of the age pyramid, the way it looks now, there are a lot of young people who are just about to become active and will be productive in this country. So economically, it's also a very good thing.
Thank you so very much for your this positive comment. I'm sure our younger generation will take it as a blessing, I'm sure. And I've seen many private universities and public universities. Have you been to public universities? And
many times, yes.
Many
times, yeah.
Which those universities you've been?
Oh, Dhaka University is where I've gone off. And in fact, we chose about a year ago, we had together with Norway and Sweden, Denmark, Norway and Sweden, celebrated 40 years anniversary of diplomatic relations with Bangladesh. We were some of the first to recognize Bangladesh in 1972. And that celebration we took to Dhaka University. So in the Senate Hall, with the Vice Chancellor,
International Standard Hall,
with students there, and with the Vice Chancellor and the Foreign Minister, we were there and had a discussion with the students of Bangladesh, how to take this country forward.
Just I'm asking because you are an ambassador of a developed world.
Yes.
I'm in Denmark.
Yes.
So we might take some suggestion from your country. So we don't mind taking suggestion or anything. Yeah.
I'll give you some suggestions,
Yeah.
but I just think, just to make it absolutely clear,
Okay,
I think
sure.
that the Bangladeshis should decide on their own. It's not for us to come from the outside and suggest things. And then I have very private opinions, like any person. When I read the newspapers, I think this and I think that.
Yeah.
And this politician should do that, and this politician should. But as an ambassador, you keep that to yourself. We don't want to play any part in Bangladeshi politics. But there are some things. One thing that's a little bit worrying, I think, is that to take Bangladesh to the next level,
Absolutely.
what's important is increase in foreign investment, to be really an integrated part of the way the whole global economy works. But for that to happen, it's very, very important that the foreign investors have a level playing field.
Absolutely.
That they're treated not just with respect, they get that, but being able to compete fairly in the country. Now, if you look at the laws of Bangladesh, and I think this is the truth that I think Bangladeshis must realize, but I think they do, to really propel this country in as fast as possible to a middle income level.
Absolutely.
Foreign investment is absolutely necessary, and whatever can be done to attract foreign investment is important.
For that, we have to just create the good brand, good image
Yes.
about our country. That is no doubt.
Yes, and a level
As you
playing
said,
field.
Level playing field as well.
Yeah.
And as you said, that we have many things to explore, yet to explore.
Yes.
I mean, so I believe our policymakers and the younger generation of the country, public sector, private sector, if we work all together, we believe that we can drive this country forward, I'm sure. And
I subscribe to that. Yes.
Well, Ambassador, the other day we've been to your beautiful residence. Huh?
Yes.
So let's take a look on the screen.
Okay.
It's a beautiful residence.
Hello, welcome to my home.
Okay, thank you. So it's a beautiful residence, I can see.
Thank you.
So for how long you're living in this beautiful residence?
2.5, almost 3 years now.
So could you tell us about your family?
Yes, one of my favorite subjects. We came here a family of 5, so my wife and our 3 children. Our children, there's a son of 16, a girl of 13, and a girl of 8 years old.
Okay, so what are the foods do you like? Again, we just stuck. Yeah.
Oh, I like biryani. Then they said, but sir, there are many
You've been
different
to
kinds.
Dhaka as well.
Dhaka, yes.
Yeah.
There you can get some nice
Yeah,
biryanis
yeah.
down there. But they say to me, but sir, there are many different kinds of biryani.
Yeah.
Which kinds do you like? So I say, I like mangoes. And they say, oh, but sir, the mangoes you have in Europe, they don't even count as mangoes
Okay.
here. We have
Yeah.
many different kinds of mangoes.
Yeah.
With mishti,
Mishti.
I say, oh,
yeah.
I like mishti. They say, well, which kind do you like? There's a whole selection of different
You
kinds.
picked up many Bangla
So-
words as well.
Yes.
So let's talk about in brief about the visa policy of your country.
Yes.
In brief, yeah.
We're not. Denmark is not a country that's open for immigration in general, but there are possibilities. I get that question a lot. What do you need to do to be able to work or
Yeah.
to study in Denmark? And that's the right way of looking at it, because it really depends on what you want to do. If we take the first
Yeah.
part first for the young viewers, if you want to study in Denmark, that's an excellent choice. The universities are very, very good. But that they're very, very good also means that they're very, very difficult to get into. But the way it works is that you apply the universities directly, and you can go to
Exactly.
their web pages and so forth and try to get admitted. Once you're admitted, it's very competitive, but
Yeah.
once you're admitted, then you should apply for a visa to get inside the country, not the other way around.
Okay.
If you're interested in that, for the viewers that are interested in that, there's a very important web page which is called www.studyindenmark.dk, and here you find all the procedures
Excellent.
on what to do.
Thank you so much. So
Let's talk about the working
Yeah.
in Denmark, that if you want to work there. Now, in general, it's not a country that's open for immigration, but there are certain types of jobs where we need people. And if you are in that sector, on the we call the positive list, then if you can find an employer who says, yes, I'd like to hire this person, then you can get a visa. So it has to
Excellent.
go that way around. But these are
Excellent.
things like engineers, building engineers, doctors, so typically people with a high education. Then there's
Okay.
also a possibility of a green card scheme.
Okay.
This is very, very difficult,
Yeah.
but it is possible.
Possible.
And
yeah.
that is, the green card means the opposite. That means that you get a permission to work in Denmark, and then you can go and look for a job, any job that you
Okay.
can find.
Excellent.
But to get a green card, there's a point system. You get points for the educational level, how many foreign languages
Okay.
do you speak, that type of thing.
Okay.
And if you're interested in working in Denmark, either with a green card or by finding a job on a positive list, there's a website,
Okay.
and the website is www.workindenmark.dk.
So, Ambassador, you've been talking about the trade is a huge issue, and then another huge issue is culture.
Yes.
It's a huge bond, So, if you could tell about the cultural cooperation between Bangladesh and Denmark.
Well, there's a lot. Bangladesh is known for cultural richness that goes deep and is shared by the people in so many ways. We try to do exchanges, so we would like to see Bangladeshi artists coming to Denmark, showing what they can do,
Definitely.
and the other way also having Danish artists come to Bangladesh and show what they can do. I can give you examples of what's coming up of that. We'll all the European Union countries are doing a film festival in Bangladesh, which is up next month, where we'll be showcasing European film, including Danish films. And I believe we have a very strong film. And the Danish government is inviting him to come to Denmark to exhibit his art. and we will be taking him to 3 or 4 different cities where he can show what he's able to do. There was a Danish Bengali artist called Rakajol who saw this idea and suggested that it should be done.
Excellent,
And
excellent.
this will happen in August and September.
August and September. Excellent. So with this, let's take a look on the screen about the cultural beauty of Denmark.
Ah,
well,
yes.
excellent.